All right. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Allison Lyon. I am the Assistant Director of New Student and Family Programs for Georgia Southern University. And we are so excited to have some of you joining us this evening. I know we have a couple more people logging in. So if you're joining us live, welcome. If you're joining us after the fact and watching the recording, welcome to you as well. Feel free to engage in the comments of our YouTube channel as well. If you have questions, we'll make sure we monitor those and get you answers as well. But as I said, we're here this evening for our family Zoom event. This is the last actually of our academic year, but last but certainly not least with university housing. So I want to start off by sharing a little bit about how this session is going to go this evening and what you can expect for how you can communicate with us. So we are in what is the Zoom webinar feature. So we cannot see you and we cannot hear you, but you can see us and hopefully you can hear us. However, there are a couple ways that you can engage. So there is the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. You'll see one of our staff members, her name's Shivani Patel. She'll be in the chat this evening dropping links to anything maybe that's relevant about what we're discussing about. So she'll be in there. You can communicate with her and the panelists. However, you won't see any of the chats from other members on our call. However, if you're wanting to pose a question this evening to one of our panelists, there is a feature at the bottom called Q&A feature that will publish your question to everybody so everybody can see it. And that way we can ask that and I'll moderate those of our panelists this evening. You also have the option to uplike one of those. So if you're like, I have that exact same question that Lisa asked, you can go in there and make sure you like that so we know that that's a priority question at this time. If we don't have the opportunity to get through all of our questions, I promise we will make sure that you get an answer though. So we'll make sure that we'll send out some post information if we had some questions remaining. So I will say I would have to make sure that we do some shameless plugs before we get started. So I'm so sorry, University Housing, stealing a little bit of time. But want to talk to you a little bit about family programs and how you can access information that's available to you. So the easiest thing to remember, because it's hard to remember all the websites or the emails or the phone numbers, is just go to georgiasouthern.edu and up at the very top, you'll see parents and families. If you click that, that will take you to this landing page, which we've been working on this, so it's still in construction, but it's recently debuted this month, or I shouldn't say this month, we're in April, so it would have been in March. But you've got a couple different things here that I want to draw your attention to. One, you can meet our team that is new to this website. So you can see the professional staff on each of our campuses that works with family programs. We do have our new hire coming on board for the Armstrong campus on May 3rd. So we're very excited to have her as well. You also, if you aren't receiving our communication, so if you have a student that is currently enrolled and currently taking classes and you don't get our communication, make sure that you go to the listserv icon at the top and opt into that communication. This includes a monthly newsletter, messages from our president, and also when we send out really important emails to our students, we will make sure that we tailor that and send it to you as well so you can see that messaging. So definitely take advantage of that. And then hopefully the way that you found this event this evening, we also had the family events tab. So in there, you can see any other upcoming events that we have. Also, when our family weekends publish, I know we get a lot of questions about those. Those will be living there as well. We do have one more event for this semester. It's actually hosted by our Parent and Family Association. If you're not part of the Parent and Family Association, we encourage that you sign up. That is a dues-based organization. You get a lot of perks and discounts by being part of that, though. So part of that, you can get local discounts and national discounts by being a member. You also can get some discounts through family weekend events. But the big one that everybody seems to love the most is that your student will be eligible to apply for a certain scholarship tied to the Parent and Family Association. So another great reason to join that. They have an event coming up this month to talk a little bit more about their scholarships if you have questions about that. So I definitely encourage that you sign up. For us in family programs, we're your resource at the institution. We want to be here for you, whatever you may need. So our email, we are familyprograms@georgiasouthern.edu. We're also on Facebook at GS Family Programs. So definitely find us, engage, ask us questions. We're here for you the whole time your student is with the institution. So what we would like to do to get started is to help our panelists, before they introduce themselves, know who they have in the room as well. So we're going to use the poll feature. I'm going to get a poll going and it will come to you on your screen if you can answer that for us. The first question that we want to know is your student currently enrolled at Georgia Southern or are they new coming in for summer or fall? So you should see that on your screen right now and you can answer that poll. Okay. Ooh, coming in close to half and half there. We've got 3 in the room right now that have currently enrolled students, and we have 2 in the room that have new students. So we've got a little bit of a split. The next one we want to know is, what campus is your student attending? That's always interesting to know. There might be some that doesn't have housing. So if you answer that, we'll talk a little bit about that too. So go ahead and answer that question for us. Okay. 3 in the room at Statesboro, 2 in the room at Armstrong. So we've got a really great split in this room this evening. So thank you again for those of you that have joined us. What I'm going to do at this time, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I know I'm not the most important one in the room, and take the time to allow our panelists to introduce themselves. We can go in order of probably how I see you on my screen, if that's okay with you all, and come off mute and introduce yourself to our attendees this evening. So first, we're going to start with Pete.
Hey everyone, my name is Peter Bluetronic and I get to be the Executive Director of University Housing. So I get to work with everybody on this screen and happy to have that opportunity. So look forward to answering some of your questions this evening.
Okay. Next on my screen grid is Nick Schroeder.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nick Schroeder and I serve as the Director of Residence Life on the Armstrong campus.
Then we've got Hal.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hal McCool. I'm the Assistant Director of Occupancy.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Ryan Hines.
Hello, I am Ryan Hines. I'm the Director of Business Administration with University Housing and oversee a lot of our occupancy and technology processes.
The really important things, right? Those processes. So great. Well, thank you all for joining us this evening and taking a little bit of time to join our supporters either with us live or virtually if they're watching after the fact. So just a reminder, this evening what our plan is to make sure we give as much time to you to ask questions that you may need. This group might have a little bit of some quick tips and tricks that they want to share as well. We always come prepared with a couple questions, but we'd rather you have that option as well. So make sure you use that Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen if you would like to ask a question of our panelists. But to get started, I think we'll start with one while we wait for some of those to come in. So let's talk a little bit about some of our current students. So we do have a question is there still time for current students to apply to be resident assistants if they're interested in being RAs? Or what does the time of the year typically look like for people that want to be RAs on campus?
Yes. So typically the time period when folks would apply is the end of the fall semester with the selection process moving forward in the springtime. Right now, we do have a few positions open on the Statesboro campus at the moment. Nick is on the call, but we just are filled with the RA staff on the Armstrong campus, but we are going to be reopening actually for returning students an opportunity to be an RA. Now you have to be a returning student, right? And you have to have lived on campus. Sometimes we'll look at transfer students that are coming who have lived on campus at a previous institution, but it is a great opportunity to get involved on campus. So yes, for the Statesboro campus, we are going to be looking for RAs right now.
What are the perks of being an RA? So I know if maybe I'm coming in new as a supporter, my students, new to the institution, and they're going to be considering that for the future. Why would I want to be an RA?
Well, I think everybody on here can probably give their own answer. For me, it's just a great leadership opportunity, great way to be connected to a team, a large team on both campuses, and gain a little extra support from those of us on this Zoom call, your direct supervisors, your graduate assistants that's working with you, your RD, and our whole department really works with you in giving you a leadership opportunity and training you to know a little bit more about yourself as well as a leader moving forward. But I think Nick and Ryan and Hal can answer as well.
So from my standpoint, it really is the value added stuff that Pete talked about that an RA will get through working as a part of our team in housing. The skills, the leadership things that they're going to learn working in a team and groups, and how to lead students. Also how to work one-on-one with students and help them with their transition issues. So there's so many things that an RA will learn that's the value added. Of course, there is some perks of the being paid and the way that we do that in housing, which is some money off of potentially your housing room, or you can take that in a paycheck. And then we also provide a 7-meal plan a week. So that's some of those pieces that we provide.
Great. And we got a question in the chat. If an incoming freshman has been assigned an RA as a roommate, is there an opportunity to change roommates? So maybe what does roommate change requests and processes look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if a incoming freshman was assigned a room with an RA, they are welcome to go through the room change process. What that process looks like is the student will need to sign their housing contract and submit a room change form, which will be turned on. Well, it'll be available to students beginning April the 30th. And our office will process those room changes as they come in. We'll use the student's application complete date and what preferred room types they list on their room change form. And we will perform as many room changes prior to the start of the semester as we can. If for some reason your room change is not able to be granted, I need you to be quiet, please. If for some reason, I'm sorry, my kids are here.
They should come join, apparently.
Yeah. Hey. But anyway, if for some reason, hey, I need you to be quiet, please, okay? If for some reason we're not able to complete your room change prior to the start of the semester, about 2 weeks after the semester begins, you'll be able to submit another room change. The reason why we have that bit of delay is so that we can verify what beds are available and that we can get a good, accurate head count of who's here and who's not
here. Makes sense.
It's also great to live with an RA. You get to know what's going on. And so it's not necessarily a bad thing to be living with an RA. So hopefully, I mean, they're trained to be welcoming and some of the best folks we hope on campus. So it could be a great opportunity to live with an RA.
Yeah, they're some of the most connected. So if it's an incoming freshman, they're going to have so much advice. I was an RA in college. I selfishly think we were amazing. So on that similar topic about RAs, if someone was interviewed for a position but wasn't selected, what would be their next opportunity to reapply?
Right away. It depends, right? So if you weren't selected, then we would hope that I'm super glad that someone would still be interested, of course. Sometimes it's difficult for us to keep what we would term a waiting list, which would be a lengthy group of people who we liked. And as always, some folks that were hired may decide to pursue a different opportunity over the summer. And we always like having kind of that bullpen, if you will, since baseball season started, to go to. And this year, in some years, we typically may not have that opportunity. So if you were in the process and maybe weren't selected, then I hope that you, learn, maybe just broaden your perspective a little bit, maybe get some other experiences on campus and come right back and go for it and reapply to be an RA. To me, that shows tenacity and a really a big degree of want to help others. And so we'd hope that you would come back into the process again.
I'll also add to that, the current RA opening for the Statesboro campus has not been posted yet. It will be in the next couple of weeks. There's a desk assistant position for housing that is posted at this time, but the RA one will be coming up shortly. And if we get an opening on the Armstrong campus, that one will post as well. And those will all go through the jobs.Georgia Southern link, where all student positions on campus are posted.
But to talk about our regular cycle, so our regular cycle actually begins late October, November is when we start putting information out about applying to be an RA for the next fall. And so that's our typical process of when we do our large recruitment processes for RAs.
So we have a question. I don't know if this group will be able to answer it, and I can also try to help. But Thomas has a daughter who's been with us for 4 years and is graduating in May. So excited. Congratulations, Thomas. And she, of course, is making the best decision and coming back as a graduate student. So is there any available assistance helping individuals find roommates off campus? And so I don't know if you all get that inquiry a lot. I can also try to provide some advice. Oh, Pete, I think you're muted. There you go.
We do not. There's a lot of area apartment complexes that do some matching. We presently, don't necessarily refer or have those off-campus properties in any sort of hierarchy or weighted way for someone to determine a better to best place type of situation to live in. But as a graduate student coming back to campus, of course, hopefully there's a pretty decent network of people that would be looking for roommates that she may know that were juniors or seniors or potentially coming back as graduate students. There's a few properties that won't rent to underclass students that may be an opportunity for her to examine.
I know in Savannah too, it's a little bit less student housing sometimes in the local area compared to Statesboro, where there are a lot more of those restrictions on who they'll rent to and things like that. You don't see it as much in Savannah because of the local community. I would suggest potentially there's opportunities for like peer connected groups talking to their cohort of members in their grad program to see if maybe there's a group that's looking for roommates. Usually people are in pretty similar situations. If she doesn't know who her cohort members are yet, I know the program directors would always be willing to help get them connected. So I think that might be another option as well. I know that's how I found my roommate in grad school was my cohort. So we got a question. My student did not get put with her group of 4. So the group was established in March with the group leader putting down her deposit in December. Is there a way for them to put in a request to get put together, not knowing if that's really realistic or a possibility? She was put in a 2-bedroom suite in Centennial. So just curious on that process and if there's options.
Yeah, so that's a great question. They can request roommates in the room change form. So they'll need to sign the housing contract and then submit a room change form. On that form, they can list the preferred roommates and the preferred room types. And we'll just see what happens. It is pretty difficult for groups of 4 to get together. It's not uncommon. It just takes a little bit longer. If for some reason they're not able to get together before school starts, like I said earlier, they'll be able to submit a room change once the semester begins, and our staff will continue to work all semester long, trying to get as many people moved around as possible.
And there are lots of reasons why roommate groups don't always get put together. They could be that we ran out of available space for a group of 4 to get placed together. So it did its best to try and keep smaller groups together, whatever it may be. It could be that there's a residential learning community assignment that's tied to this. And so one person was placed in a residential learning community, the other people were placed elsewhere. So it really just kind of varies. What we really encourage you to do is to reach out to our office. We are more than happy to spend the time talking about what's going on in the situation, look and see what's there and see what we can do. That's what we spent the last 4 work days doing, is just talking through these individual situations with students who've had concerns or questions and just seeing what's there. So next week is a great time to call us once we can finally get through the emails and voicemails and everything that have made their way to our office, but we'll be glad to sit down and talk one-on-one through what's going on.
So I know one of the hot topics in housing assignments world right now and all of that, it's different for the campuses, right? It's different for Statesboro and Armstrong, is about the availability for housing for non-freshmen. So our upperclassmen students, what are those options if there are any, and based on the campus locations?
Well, so yes, so there is ample opportunity for upper class students to move on to campus at the Armstrong campus, and we can go into some specifics there. Right now, there's very limited to potentially almost no availability on the Statesboro campus. We're anticipating a very large first-year class coming in, and so we are hoping to be able to provide space for some upper class students, but those numbers are coming into us now. And so we are just holding right now on making those assignments to upper class students on the Statesboro campus, but Ryan and the team are ready to go as soon as we kind of get a little bit more clarity on the freshman class coming in. And so there's communication going out regularly to those students as well. But I think, Ryan and Hal probably can go more in depth on that.
And to dig in a little bit more, it's really just about determining where this first year class is going to end up. And, the implications that happened with COVID and the, not having to have the test scores for the first year class really increased the size of our first year class. And we're just not quite sure where that's going to end up. And so there is a national day of commitment where we really encourage our first year students to commit by May 1st. And so we'll hopefully get a little bit more clarity after May 1st on where this first year class is going to be. And we use a lot of metrics to determine how many students are highly likely to attend. If they've signed up for housing, if they have signed up for orientation, if they've made kind of these other commitments to attending campus, they've gone through financial aid processes and such as that. So that'll give us a little bit better picture, we hope. As we progress through the summer, we'll start to see where that campus number is going to look like in terms of whether we'll be able to offer upper class students housing on campus or not.
And I'm going to throw out a plug to become an RA. RAs are required to live on campus. So if you've got an upper class student that wants to live on campus in Statesboro, have them apply to be an RA.
A perfect point, Hal. So my son is a freshman on the Armstrong campus currently and is transferring to the Statesboro campus in the fall. What does he need to do regarding housing? Does he apply now? I'm assuming they mean this upcoming fall.
So because your student is currently living on campus, then they will not be treated as a freshman. So if they are looking for housing, on-campus housing in Statesboro, they'll be treated as a returner. But if they're wanting to go off campus, Statesboro has a lot of off-campus housing available. So there's tons of off-campus properties that they can choose from if they would like to live off campus.
One of the things too to consider, and I know some of our students are transferring, Nick, I have a question for you. I know sometimes we have students that might have that option to stay at Armstrong and use the shuttle to go back and forth. Is that still an option this upcoming year? I always ride beside the shuttle every morning when I come to Savannah, so just need to hop on it apparently, but didn't know what options we currently have.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely an option. They can commute, they could take the shuttle, they could live on either campus where there's availability.
So something to consider. They could ride beside me in the shuttle if they would like. It looks like a great time and it apparently has Wi-Fi. So you can get a lot done while you're riding that shuttle and saving gas money. So don't hate that.
There's also want to make sure that your student has talked to their academic advisor about changing campuses, because there are several processes within there that they need to make sure that they fulfilled, across campus and what that looks like, because each campus also has its own cost of attendance for financial aid processes and that type of thing as well. So just make sure they've talked to their academic advisor about that process too.
Yes, always good to do. And I know we've got a question too about how is off-campus housing paid for? So typically that is separate for the student to figure out. You could have financial aid that pays out as a refund check later on if they're needing to utilize that, but it's not similar to on-campus funding of housing. Awesome. Okay, we're going to change gears until I get other questions. And so keep them coming because y'all have some great ones. So let's talk about summer real fast in case any on the call have some students that maybe are taking classes this summer and looking to live on campus. So where can they find that housing application? Is that still available for them to stay on campus this summer?
Yes, the summer housing applications are available online. You just log into the housing portal, mygeorgiasouthern.edu, click on the campus life tile and the on-campus housing portal link, and the summer applications will be in the light blue ribbon kind of toward the top of the screen. And for students that are attending both A term and B term, they will need to complete a separate housing application for each term.
Good to know. So if you're not familiar, A term and B term, right? So our summer courses, they could do full term courses, which are for the full duration, and term A and term B are accelerated partial term courses that they can take. So starting in May or starting in later June, going through July. So since it has been announced that we are returning to full operations in the fall, can I visit my student in their residence hall in the fall? And so for some of our new families, they might not know what this was prior about not visiting. Your students might want to elaborate a bit.
So that's a great question. So what does returning to normal look like? That's a great question. And so we're going to be working through that all summer, leading up to the next year. This year, you're right in asking that question just about visitation and access. We had restricted visitation this past year. And so for those that have returning students, they know that this was probably not the traditional college experience that they were anticipating or hoping for when they came. And so next year, the university is moving forward. And so we anticipate that that masks may still need to be worn at times, but we're waiting on some of those kind of guidelines to come through. But we are anticipating as best a return to normal operations as we can. Again, the guidance is going to come out probably in the middle of the summer about any sort of restrictions that are going to be recommended. But right now we are anticipating visitors. We are anticipating a little bit more of a return to normalcy. We already have in place a visitation policy, for instance, that limits the number of visitors that can be in a room. So those sorts of things are going to still be enforced and maybe a little bit more closely monitored due to the nature of the collegiate atmosphere that we are coming into, and that COVID is still going to be something that we're going to be working through. But yes, we do anticipate a much greater return to normalcy. I would absolutely anticipate 100% the parents and family will be able to come in and visit their students. We do anticipate the visitors will be allowed to come onto campus and visit with their friends in their residence hall rooms, greater numbers in attendance at sporting events. So we are looking forward to that. More functioning dining hall, where more places to sit and mingle. Those are the places where you get to meet and greet your friends on both campuses. So we're looking at and anticipating a more robust, more normal college experience.
Yes, as we like to say, probably our new normal, because we don't quite know if it's like going back to what we're all used to, but creating whatever our new normal is and kind of going with that. But we're all very excited to be able to do some more things in person. I know we are in family programs. Our staff's all new and we have been virtual since we started. And we're just ready to meet some of you in person as well. That's very exciting for us. So kind of going off of that a bit, Ryan, I know you've been living in this world for a good bit, and I'm sure many other on the call have, but how is move-in going to look this fall? What could we anticipate a bit?
Yeah, so we are getting ready to make some big announcements about move-in. We are currently scheduled for move-in on August 6th and August 7th. Students would sign up for a move-in time slot on our website. And then we would kind of work through that process. And it, depending on which campus you are, they'll be slightly different. But we're planning a return to volunteers to help students move belongings into rooms, and kind of just creating a real welcoming environment for students coming back to this new normal of Georgia Southern through what we're doing. But again, instead of a one-day move-in like we would do historically, we're looking at a 2-day process, still spread some things out a little bit more, but try and bring a lot of fun and excitement back into this process with it.
And I can try to answer this too as well, but I'll throw it to you all first. But is there any discussion about there being a COVID-19 vaccine requirement in the fall?
No. So yeah, that's the quick answer. The University System of Georgia has not made any sort of statements that we are aware of or that we're hearing at all levels of the organization that they would be requiring students who live on campus to show proof of vaccination.
We did have one quick question that came in that I can just help answer real fast. Having a sophomore and junior in high school, someone's about to graduate and ready to attend. I'm ready for them to be Eagle. We're so excited. Do we have any campus tours? Always have those. So we are currently offering them as well. They are at limited capacity because of COVID. So you do have to sign up for those through the Office of Admissions. However, there's also the self-guided tour options on both of the campuses that you can use a QR code and go around at kind of your own pace and where you want to go and learn a little bit more about the campus as well. So Shivani, I'm going to ask if you can in the chat to drop a link for admissions about our visit experiences. That would be great.
We do also have housing tours during those
Yes.
campus tours. So there's an opportunity to visit a couple of our room styles during that. And again, those are kind of self-guided as you go through that process, but there's information when you sign up for the campus tours about visiting housing for those.
Yes, I drew out on a map the other day for someone how to get to Eagle Village on the Statesboro campus. So that was fun.
And in regards to moving as well, while those are the dates, right? I think I saw pop up, there will be some groups that move in early. So you'll be contacted about that. If you're in a residential living community, if you're an athlete, if you're associated with a program that would require you to move in early, you'll be notified and that option will be made available to you. And so those move-in dates will come out. You'll be notified of the day you're allowed to move in if you're participating in one of those groups.
And some of them are already on our Operation Move-In website. You can go and find those dates for some of our larger groups. If there are some smaller groups where those dates have not yet been set, those will come out later from either your group sponsor or from University Housing with what those look like. But dates for Panhellenic recruitment or marching band are already set at this time. So you're able to view what those dates are.
So Pete, you referred to something that now I'm going to want you all to elaborate on a bit more. What are residential learning communities and how can I learn more or become part of one?
Well, those are on our information about that is of course on our website. The long and short really of a residential living community or living learning community. Those communities are really focused and tied in with faculty and with an academic program or an academic college. So whether it be the honors college or engineering and computer science. So it really depends on what your student or what you as a student are interested in being a little bit more involved in. And so those are a little bit more academically focused, and those are also specifically assigned to certain residence halls. And so those are a little bit more engaging. You'll get to meet faculty outside of the classroom. Typically there's some special events that go on with those groups to kind of expose you maybe to career paths, different type of options and opportunities to engage you a little bit more in your major, and in that sense to make sure you're comfortable with the direction you're going in. And then we've got theme communities that are not so affiliated with an academic major. That's just an area of interest. And again, there's special events and programs associated with those as well.
Yeah, on the Armstrong campus this year, we actually have 2 new communities that we're developing, and they're really for upper class students actually in our apartments. One is our Greek or fraternity and sorority village living. So for Greek life, those that identify as a part of that population that can live together with the organization. And then also we have Rise, which is a basically sophomore experience community. And so it is meant to be a theme community to help sophomores. Sometimes there's a sophomore slump because there's a lot of emphasis put on first year students in their transition. And so this is meant to help those students with a little bit extra support in their sophomore year, and really engage them in with offices like career development and those types of things. And so really giving them a lot of extra skills and things as being a part of that community.
So going back real fast to the tour question, this is maybe good for all campuses, but this one's for Statesboro, of course. Is Eagle Village the only dorm that you can tour inside?
On the Statesboro campus, that is our building that's available for tours that are coordinated with admissions. When we get back to more kind of the in-person big admissions events, we'll open up buildings for other tours at that point as well. But we also spent a lot of time this past year creating virtual 360 tours of our buildings. So I saw Shivani had put it into the chat link, but there's gsuhousing.com/halls, and then you can click on any of our buildings, and then you can see 360 tours of those buildings. They have measurements within that as well. So if you're trying to just get a better feel for what type of room you might have been assigned to or thinking about, it's a good resource to go to until we have some opportunities to open up for tours at a later date. And on the Armstrong campus, we do have tours available in Windward Commons and Compass Point. So Windward Commons for first year students, Compass Point for more upper class transfer students.
We're counting down the days that admissions will be doing our big events again as well. So how can I make sure if my student is about to move in or coming, how can I make sure that they're packing or bringing everything that they need to, or not bringing the things that you don't want them to bring?
So actually on the website, there is a what to bring list that we provide for students. And so it's helpful hints on everything from bringing some medication to bringing pencils. So it kind of runs the gamut of things that we suggest. And we also provide things of what not to bring. So things that would be against our policies of living on campus. And so all that can be found on the housing website.
It's also a great idea to kind of talk through what the first couple of weeks or months of school look like with your student. If they're planning on coming home, that, on week 3, then they don't need to bring everything with them on move-in week in this case. And so there's no reason to bring a U-Haul or a trailer or something like that. Things we see every year are U-Haul trucks that come in that are just fully loaded, and then there's no room to be able to put everything in the student rooms. So think about what's important to bring in that case. Now, if your student's from Michigan and they're moving down to Georgia, that's a different story and a different conversation about what needs to bring. So we understand those students and the fact that they bring, a lot of stuff with them in this case. So
I'm guilty. I'm a complete nester, Ryan. Like, I gotta have it all there in the moment.
Well, but the Michigan student, you can leave your big coat. You don't need it, right? So you can leave some of that there. Yeah, and one of the things is, it's about bringing enough stuff, because we do think it's super important for your students, and the returning students can probably speak to this, to plan on being here for the first few weekends, to get in the flow of campus life, to go to the first football game, to go do some of those firsts on the weekends that you may be here with your students, with your fellow, mates, everybody in your residence hall. It's a great opportunity to kind of develop and figure out what college life will be for you, as opposed to going home immediately.
Nick, you're muted.
Always. I would encourage your students to talk to their roommates so that they can coordinate what they bring. You don't want to end up with 4 shower curtains and things like that. So talk to your roommate about those things as well, because that's important. And also another thing, we do partner with a company called On-Campus Marketing, and they do linens programs. And so your students should be receiving information in the mail about linens packages and things that they can buy that will actually be shipped to you at home, and then you just bring that with you. And there's some pretty cool packages and things that you can look at.
All right. Next question, when will the Operation Move-In time slots be available?
We anticipate mid to late July. And so typically 2 to 3 weeks before move-in, we will release those time slots for students to be able to select them. And those time slots are going to be based upon the buildings that are moving in. And so some of our buildings that are larger will have more time slots. Some that are smaller will have fewer time slots, but there will be plenty of time slots for students to be able to move in on those days. So don't stress with what's there. We always encourage students that may be driving 4 or 5 hours on move-in day to make sure they take a later time slot than an 8 a.m. time slot if they're trying to drive down that day, whatever the situation may be. So just kind of think through that and what might be a good fit. If you know that you're going to be an early arrival coming in, you have a good idea of what your time slots may look like. And so that's a good thing to think about with those days, that if you're coming for Panhellenic recruitment, you know that your move-in day is going to be that Monday or Tuesday, whatever the day is that's listed on the website within there.
Questions about move out. So we've got our current students, right? That process is about to come into play. So what does that look like? What do they need to anticipate as they're getting ready for move out season from spring semester?
Start early and be sure, simple hints, instead of saying, oh, you need to do this and that, you need to, leave the room in as close to the condition as you found it as you can. So start, on some trips home. If you go home frequently, you might be wise to take a few things home, but really it's about leaving your room in the best condition you can. If there is a piece of paper on the floor, that's fine. The flip side of that is if there are some damages that your students or of that have been done, you need to let us know. We will always work with our students, but every now and then we simply walking away from and leaving the room in a pretty bad condition, we will get those calls from parents, and we will have those conversations about why a student may have acquired a fee for cleaning, or we'll provide pictures of the hole in the wall and things like that. So that's not something we want to do, but of course we need to kind of be sure that the residence halls are in a condition so that when we come through with housekeepers and maintenance, that we can get a jump on things. But yeah, those are tips. Just kind of get busy here now and making sure that your rooms are ready for move out.
What about if I have some stuff in my room that I don't need? I want to donate. I don't know, is there options if there's great stuff that I feel like I want to give to someone else, but I don't know who to give it to?
It's funny that you bring that up. I was just in a meeting today about that.
Oh.
So we actually do have programs on both campuses where we partner with other entities off campus and some on campus, like our food pantries that are on our campuses for students. Like if they have food that they don't want to take home with them, then we collect that stuff, and it can also be a part of our food pantry donations. Also, we work with Goodwill and some other entities to where there are places where students can drop off items that they do not like or do not want.
Great. Then we did get a question just to make sure. We're going to play Mythbusters here. Play it yes or no, but is it true that the residence halls are co-ed?
Yes. So they are co-ed, typically in association. Well, yes, so they are co-ed. We have one facility that is co-ed based on bathroom location. It's got more of a community bathroom situation. And so those bathrooms are situated. And so by wings of a building, you might have women and then men, but they're separated. So it's separated, associated with bathroom usage. But yes, you could be living across from, men on one side and women on the other side, doors, facing each other. And, what we always tell folks is back in the day when I was in graduate school, there were three styles that were best, right? Well, three different typical situations: co-ed, all male, all women. And they found that really the best situation for student development was co-ed, and the worst was all male. So, I have 4 sons, and I can definitely attest to when they're all in the room, maybe they don't always make the best decisions. So that may be why an all male facility was not always ranked as the highest academic and area for personal development. But so yeah, and those are typically great living options. My son goes to a different school, and some of those are his best friends that he met. Some women he met his moving in that first day.
My community was a lot stronger when it was co-ed. I lived in a full female residence hall, then I lived in a co-ed one, and I just felt like the community was much stronger, and I got much more connected to my fellow students.
And just to clarify a little bit, as we do have some schools around the state with different policies, our buildings themselves are co-ed, but our units are not. So our units are still a gendered unit in this case, where it may be all men or it may be all women, and you could be living next door to another unit that is male or female within our apartment or suite style buildings, in this case, outside of our traditional style.
Well, we have just a couple minutes left. As Shivani mentioned, if you do have any last lingering questions, these can be for our current students, family members, or our incoming. Either way, please feel free to drop those into the Q&A feature. Wanting to ask this group, if they are wanting to get in contact with you, what is the best way, knowing that this is a busy time of the year for you all? I don't know when it's not busy for you all, but what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
I will give you the personal phones of the other 3 people, and you can call them at your leisure.
Even at like 2 o'clock in the morning, Pete?
Whenever, yeah.
Oh, wow, service.
Posting those in the chat right now. No, for us, typically, call the main office, use the email that's associated with us. It may not be immediate, but truly the staff, Ryan and Hal and Nick and the team, an email may get missed if it's addressed directly to me, for instance, because it may get kicked out from an external user or whatever. And the fact that we get, I don't know, about 100 emails a day minimally. So, if you do send it to that housing at georgiasouthern.edu, there's about 4 people that get those, sort those, and send those out and read those and respond. And so, or send it to the right office. And so oftentimes housing will get contacted. It won't be a housing issue because we'll typically route you to the right people. And I know you know about that. So you may get contacted because you're a resource and you can send them to the right people. And so we don't mind doing that as well. But Ryan and the team, we've got all sorts of social media that is also available as well.
I'll also say with social medias, we don't actively monitor it for messaging. So email, phone, live chat are by far the best ways to get in touch with us and ensure that you get a pretty quick response. But if you have an emergency while you're living on campus, we do have staff on call 24 hours a day, and all of our halls have on-call response numbers that are associated with them. reach out to those staff members. If you've got a flood or a leak or a maintenance issue, whatever it may be, they will work to address that and get that information resolved for you.
Great point. Thank you, Ryan. Any last lingering advice from this group, or things that maybe you wanted to bring up that we didn't bring up in questions? Anything from this group? It's okay if not.
I mean, there's a few things, right? You can actually, if you're a new student or returning student, returning students know this, but if you're a new student, you can park, you can bring a vehicle. Back in the, again, there's some institutions, and then back in the day, right, we couldn't bring a vehicle, but you can bring a vehicle. And so in addition, we have free laundry. So, that doesn't mean bring your laundry from home to do here, but it does mean that your students shouldn't be bringing home baskets of laundry for, to do when they come home. A few other things, if you have dietary needs, our dining hall really works diligently to meet your specific dietary requirements, and the food is good. And so I would hint otherwise, but the food is very good, and they have all sorts of different options available in the dining halls and all over campus. So there's lots of different options there. And then, I think a hint is when you come to campus, get connected, talk to your RA, talk to the front desk worker, talk to as many people as you can, and go ahead and explore clubs and organizations and go to things that you might not have thought would be cool, or maybe even that you might not necessarily be interested at first. Expose yourself to new opportunities to get the most out of your college experience. And that may mean going to an event that's hosted by the alumni group. It may mean going to a concert that you might not have gone to, or a lecturer. But those are some of the opportunities that you only get by attending a university, a college or university. So you're coming here not just for classes, that is the most important thing, but you're also coming here for experiences that are going to enrich your life for the remainder of your days, right? And so those don't always take place in the classroom. We like to think that they also take place in your residence hall, and also through the events that are on campus. So really, these are the best years of your life. Take advantage of them. So Nick.
Yeah, so something that is a little different this year than previous years is when our classes start this year and what we're going to be doing before classes start. And so classes are going to begin on a Wednesday this year, I believe August 11th. But our move-in begins for first-year students on the 6th. And so with that being said, there's time period in between there before classes start. And so we're working really hard as an institution, from student affairs, academic affairs, all the different areas of the institution, to create what we want to call the Eagle experience, which is going to be some things that are going to be hosted on campus that is going to be exciting in those days before classes start. And so we're really excited about our new model and seeing how this works out and what we're going to be able to provide students with in those days before class starts.
Yeah, and please note too that some of those things that Nick's referring to will also be available to our returning students also. So it's not just for new students. There might be some stuff specifically targeted to them that they'll know about, but it's also open to returning. There'll be some really great experiences. We also know our current freshmen that just came through this year, that process might not have been what you were hoping it would be in August, just by the nature of COVID. And so we're going to make up for that, and we're going to give a really big bang start to the institution. We did get 2 more questions in the chat. I want to make sure that we ask. So we did have a clarifying question of when is move out for this semester?
So that kind of depends on if you are participating in graduation or not. So our primary move out for students who are not graduating is May 7th by 12 o'clock noon, or 24 hours after your last final exam, whichever comes first in this case. If you are participating in graduation in one of our graduating ceremonies, or you are working graduation through a campus office like ROTC, or maybe through the registrar's office, whatever that may be, you would be allowed to stay 24 hours after your graduation ceremony, or I believe May 13th at 12 o'clock noon or 5 o'clock. I don't remember which one it is. 5 p.m. on May 13th is the final date for those students who are participating in graduation ceremonies.
And then are there floor plans that are accessible to where they could kind of see where laundry rooms are in regard to certain rooms, or maybe kitchens or whatever that is based on the layout of that building?
We do not have those available on our website, but we are more than happy to kind of talk through that with students or parents when we need to have that discussion. For many students, that may be a student accommodation request through the SARC. It may be that there's other concerns that we need to look at with those placements, and so we'd rather have those conversations more on a one-on-one basis. And it's also, we found that when we post those website or those floor plans to our website, they lead to a lot more concerns or special requests for things that just aren't possibly granted. I don't want to be on this side of the building because I don't want to see this or that. And so we try to not post those full things to the website. And they also take up a lot of space on our website. And we have limitation for the amount of space we can put on there with the number of buildings and the number of floors and floor plans that we have. It would really take up a lot more space on that website than what we would have available.
So ask the questions, right? Yeah, definitely connect with housing and ask that if that's something. When you mentioned SARC, so we say SARC, that's the Student Accessibility Resource Center. So if your student is needing to put in an accommodation request, we do encourage that you do that sooner rather than later and start that conversation, because you will have some documentation that's being requested and things like that. So the Student Accessibility Resource Center partners really closely with University Housing for those processes as well. Well, great. Well, we flew through a good bit of questions this evening, and we'll hang out for a couple more minutes just in case there's more that comes in. But I want to take the time to thank those that have joined our panel so much for joining us this evening. We know this is a busy time of the year for you all, so we really appreciate it. And for our supporters that are currently on the call or watching this after the fact, we hope this information is useful. We will be doing more of these as we continue into next year, doing them once a month with other events throughout family programs. So definitely keep an eye on our website and our social media for more events that we're sharing, and get connected with us and email us if you have any departments that you really would like to see one of these with. You can reach out to us at familyprograms@georgiasouthern.edu. And don't forget that all of the past years, we've done this since about mid-fall in October, are recorded and on our website. So if you want to go back and look at some other departments that we've done this with, we really encourage for you to. We've done it with Academic Success Center, advising for our current students. That process will look different for incoming, our academic affairs group and faculty. So there's a lot of different departments that we've partnered with, and we encourage you to go back and look at those as well. So without further ado, thank you again so much. We will hang out here. We hope you have a great evening, and thank you for joining us. Thank you all.